Chapter 2, Socialism in Europe and the Russian Revolution. Question answers from Class 9. Subject Social Science History India and the Contemporary World Part 1. First, Activities Question 1. Imagine that you are a striking worker in 1905 who is being tried in court for your act of rebellion. Draft the speech you would make in your defense. Act out your speech for your class. Answer, defense speech of a striking worker, 1905. Your Honor, I stand here accused of rebellion, but I ask you, is it a crime to want to live? In 1904, our wages dropped by 20% while the price of bread reached the sky. We work 15 hours a day in dark, cramped factories, only to return to rooms where we cannot even breathe. We went to the Winter Palace on that cold Sunday, not with guns but with a petition for the Tsar, our little father. Instead of bread, we were given bullets. My friends were slaughtered on Bloody Sunday. If demanding an 8-hour day and a living wage is rebellion, then I am a rebel. But I tell you, a nation cannot prosper when its workers are treated worse than cattle. Question 2. Write the headline and a short news item about the uprising of 24 October 1917 for each of the following newspapers. A conservative paper in France. Answer. Headline, Anarchy in Petrograd, Bolshevik mob seizes power. News item, chaos has descended upon Russia as the radical Bolsheviks have staged a coup against the legitimate provisional government. This lawless uprising threatens the stability of Europe and abandons the Great War effort. We must fear the spread of this red disorder. B, a radical newspaper in Britain. Answer, headline, The Dawn of a New Era, Russian workers overthrow tyranny. News item, in a historic move, the Petrograd Soviet has taken control of the capital. The people have finally risen to demand bread, land, and peace. This is a monumental victory for the oppressed classes everywhere against the failures of the ruling elite. See a Bolshevik newspaper in Russia. Answer, headline, All power to the Soviets. The Winter Palace has fallen. News item, Comrades, the revolution is won. Led by the Military Revolutionary Committee, our forces have arrested the ministers of the capitalist provisional government. The era of the worker and the peasant has begun. Long live the socialist revolution. Question 3. Imagine that you are a middle-level wheat farmer in Russia after collectivization. You have decided to write a letter to Stalin explaining your objections to collectivization. What would you write about the conditions of your life? What do you think would be Stalin's response to such a farmer? Answer the letter. Respected Comrade Stalin, I am a farmer from the Ukraine. I have worked my land for years. Now, your officials come and take my horses and my grain. They force us into the Kulaks collective farm. I am told I must share everything with those who did not work as hard as I did. We are starving because your men take every grain of wheat for the cities. Is this the socialism we were promised, where we have no freedom over our own labor? Stalin's expected response. Citizen, your objections are the words of a Kulak, a parasite of the revolution. Individual greed must be crushed for the industrial might of the USSR. You are hoarding grain while the workers of the state hunger. If you resist the Kulaks, you are an enemy of the people. You will be liquidated as a class or sent to labor camps to learn the value of the collective state. Part 2, questions. Question 1. What were the social, economic, and political conditions in Russia before 1905? Answer, social. About 85% of the population were agriculturists. Unlike Europe, Russian peasants were divided and had no respect for nobility. They often refused to pay rent. However, they were natural socialists because they pooled land in a commune, mir. Economic, industry was limited to pockets like St. Petersburg and Moscow. Most factories were privately owned, and working conditions were poor, with long hours, 12 to 15 hours, and low wages. 1904 was a particularly bad year, with high prices and falling real wages. Political, Russia was an autocracy. Tsar Nicholas II ruled without being accountable to a parliament. All political parties were illegal before 1914. Question 2. In what ways was the working population in Russia different from other countries in Europe before 1917? Answer, agricultural dominance. In Russia, 85% of people were farmers, compared to 40 to 50% in France and Germany. Communal land. Russian peasants periodically pooled their land and divided it according to the needs of individual families, mir, a practice not common in the West. Worker-peasant link. Many Russian industrial workers maintained strong ties to their villages, returning for harvest. Concentration. Industry was highly concentrated in a few large cities, making it easier for workers to organize strikes quickly. Question 3. Why did the Tsarist autocracy collapse in 1917? Answer: World War I. Huge losses, 7 million casualties, and the destruction of crops led to a refugee crisis and deep resentment. Economic crisis. The war caused labor shortages and the shutdown of industries. Most grain was sent to feed the army, leading to bread riots in cities. The Tsar's unpopularity. Nicholas II refused to consult the Duma. The influence of the monk Rasputin and the German origins of Tsarina Alexandra made the monarchy unpopular. The February Revolution. A lockout at a factory triggered a massive strike. When the cavalry refused to fire on the demonstrators and joined them instead, the Tsar had no choice but to abdicate. Question 4. Make two lists, one with the main events and the effects of the February Revolution, and the other with the main events and effects of the October Revolution. Write a paragraph on who was involved in each. Who were the leaders, and what was the impact of each on Soviet history? Answer: Comparison of February and October revolutions. Feature: February Revolution, October Revolution. Main events: riots over bread shortages. General strike in Petrograd. Soldiers join workers. Tsar abdicates. Conflict between Bolsheviks and provisional government. Seizure of government offices. Takeover of Winter Palace. Effects: end of monarchy. Formation of the provisional government. Bolsheviks take power. Russia becomes a socialist state. Civil war begins. Leaders and impact. The February Revolution was a spontaneous uprising with no single leader, though Duma leaders and the Petrograd Soviet were key. The October Revolution was highly organized by Vladimir Lenin and Leon Trotsky. The February Revolution ended the 300-year Romanov rule, while the October Revolution transformed Russia into the USSR, the world's first socialist state. Question 5. What were the main changes brought about by the Bolsheviks immediately after the October Revolution? Answer: nationalization. Most industries and banks were nationalized in November 1917. Land reform. Land was declared social property, and peasants were allowed to seize land from the nobility. Equality. Use of old titles of aristocracy was banned. Uniforms. New uniforms were designed for the army, including the Budanovka hat. Political change. The Bolshevik Party was renamed the Russian Communist Party. Russia became a one-party state. Question 6. Write a few lines to show what you know about. A. Kulaks. Answer: the name for well-to-do, wealthy peasants. During the grain shortages, Stalin targeted them, believing they were hoarding grain to push up prices. B. The Duma. Answer: an elected consultative parliament in Russia. The Tsar created it after the 1905 revolution, but repeatedly dismissed it to maintain his own power. C. Women workers between 1900 and 1930. Answer: women made up 31% of the factory labor force by 1914, but were paid much less than men. They played a leading role in the February Revolution. Feb 22, International Women's Day, became the start of the uprising. D. The Liberals. Answer: a group that wanted a nation which tolerated all religions and protected individual rights. They argued for a representative, elected parliamentary government, but did not believe in universal adult franchise. They opposed voting rights for women. E. Stalin's collectivization program. Answer: to solve grain shortages, Stalin forced peasants to pool their land into collective farms, kolkhoz, starting in 1929. Those who resisted were severely punished, deported, or killed. It led to one of the worst famines in Soviet history, 1930 to 1933. So friends, we have completed question answers of Chapter 2, Socialism in Europe and the Russian Revolution. If you like the video, kindly hype the video and share it with your friends. Also subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to receive new video notifications. We will meet in the next video. Thank you for watching.